So leather is, if we generally discuss about leather, leather is a kind of substance that is durable and flexible material that is created by the tanning of the material that is having animal origin. The mostly different types of raw hide are utilized that are involving different skins of animals. So we can say leather is a kind of product that is specifically associated with different types of animals skin, and the most common raw material that is utilized for the production of leather, that is cattle hide. uh, it is actually a kind of product that is produced at manufacturing scales that is ranging from artisan to the modern industrial scale. It's mean we can say leather is a kind of material, a kind of product that can have several manufacturing scales. It can range from artisan to the modern industrial scale. It's mean from grassroots level to up to the industrial level. We can produce leather via different ways. If we generally discuss the term hide, the raw hide, the term hide is utilized for the designation of the skin of the larger animals. It's mean hide is specifically used for those animals that are of larger in size, that is cow hide or horse hide. And whereas the skin that we are utilizing for for leather, that is the skin of smaller animals, mostly calf skin or kid skin. We would generally discuss different types of preservational processes. Different types of preservation methods are implied. That will involve different types of chemical treatments, that is called as tanning process, which will the uh, convert the process the animal skin into stable and non-decaying materials. Mean we can say the process, the way which this skin is actually treated, that will involve different types of chemical treatments, and by treating with different types of chemicals, the animal skin that become stable and it become resistant to decay. The different types of tanning agents that are utilized for treating the animal skin, that are mostly different types of vegetable tannins that is mostly obtained from the tree barks and animal and the next thing that is important in terms of leather industry for the training, that is different types of minerals are such as chromium sulfate and fish and animal oil. It's mean the skin of animal and the different types of animals, it's treated with different types of chemicals, and all these chemicals actually play important role in formation of leather. So we can say the skins that we are actually utilizing for the production of different types of leather, that can have several origin. The It's mean there is actually diversity in different types of animal skin. The most commonly utilized skin leather that is actually obtained from the animal, that is a cattle. The most common source include different types of cattle, but the other animals that can be utilized for the production of leather, that are ostriches, lizards, eel, fish, and kangaroos. They have been used for the more common leathers that actually come from 7 main groups. Its mean cattle is actually the number one group, that includes calves and oxen, sheep and lambs, goats and kids. And the next group that is also important in terms of leather production, that is having equine animals. They include different types of horses, mules, and zebras, and buffalo, hogs, and different types of aquatic animals like seals, walrus, whales, and alligators. They can also be utilized for production of different types of leather. It's mean we can say leather is a kind of product that is actually very diverse in nature. It is a product that can be derived via several animal sources. So the hides of animals, we are generally discussing that we are obtaining this product from different types of animal sources. The hide of different types of mammals, that is actually composed of three basic layers. The number one layer, that is epidermis, that is thin outer layer, and the corium or dermis, that is second layer, and the thick central layer, and the subcutaneous fatty layer. It's mean the this is actually the basic constitution of mammalian skin. The corium is actually used to make leather after the two sandwiching layers have been removed. It's mean the main layer that is actually of much concern, that is dermis, that is utilized for the production of leather. Different types of fresh hides almost contain 60 to 70% of the water by weight and 30 to 35% of the protein. It means the maximum constituent of the animal skin that is having water, and almost about 85% of the protein that is actually present in the animal skin, that is of collagen protein. Collagen is a kind of fibrous protein that is held together by chemical bonds, and the basically leather making is a science of using acids, base, the different types of bases, salts, enzymes, and tannins to dissolve the fats and non-fibrous protein and strengthen the bond between the collagen fiber. It's mean the main focus, the main aim of the production of different types of leather is on the strengthening of the collagen material, that is the basic constituent of the animal skin. So if we can say the main concern or focus of the leather industry is actually the on the different the is actually on the collagen, that is the main ingredient of different types of animal skin. In this in the next slide you can see here is the basic structure of skin, that is having different types of parts. Next we have epidermis, dermis, different types of sweat glands and fats. It mean fat, sweat glands. And in terms of leather production, the skin layer that is of much concern, that is of much significant in terms of leather production, that is dermis. It means epidermis and fat are not suitable, are not important ingredient of, for the leather formation. The main ingredient, the main thing that is actually utilized for the production of leather, that is dermis. And you have an idea that skin actually contain different types of oil glands, nerves, blood vessels, hair follicles, and hair. So all these structures are actually removed, they are treated via different types of chemicals. So the actually the leather become free from all these products, then that will be become suitable for different types of activities that can be utilized for different types of purposes. So we can say the origin of if we generally discuss in terms of history, that the origin of leather making, leather making or leather industry is a kind of process that is having, and that is practiced in ancient past. So it is we can say leather making is an ancient art that has been practiced from more than 7,000 years ago. So the fresh skins initially, what was the process that is actually followed? The fresh skins were dried in the sun, softened by pounding the animal fats and brains, and preserved by salting and smoking. Its mean initial methods were actually the kind of methods in which were involving a kind of technique in which the animal skins were treated with different types of salts, and then they are dried in the sun, and that was the initial method for the leather making. And beginning with the simple drying and curing techniques, the process of vegetable tanning that was developed by Egyptians and Herbians about 400 BC. It's mean there was gradual modernization in the process of leather formation, and during the Middle Ages, the Arabs preserved the art of leather making, and so they improved it to the Morocco and Cordovan. That this become this actually facilitate the leather industry, or the leather making process, a highly priced leather. It's mean with the gradual improvement when the leather was processed by several ways, it increases its price. By the 15th century, the leather tanning was once more widespread in Europe, and by the mid 19th century, the power driven machine that performed such operations like splitting, fleshing, and dehairing were introduced. It means with the passage of time, there was a revolution in the leather industry, or the process that is involved in leather formation. Towards the end of 19th century, the chemical tannage, which include the use of oak, sumac, and hellock, tan bark, and chrome salts were introduced. It's mean leather industry is a kind of process that is involving that is having ancient that is actually practiced in ancient past. So with the passage of time, the leather industry, the process of leather formation actually gradually strengthened, and up to date this method actually involved the involvement of different types of mineral, different types of salts. They are utilized for the processing of different types of salts. So we can say the at present the modern leather making is a kind of process that is involved different types of commercial activities. The modern commercial leather making process involved different types of phases. That is actually the preparation of the tanning and the processing of tanned leather. If we generally discuss the preliminary step, that is a hide should be must be carefully skinned and protected both in storage and transportation before reaching the tannery, and the hide will begin to decompose within hours of an animal death. To prevent this from happening, the hide is cured by dehydrating process that involve either air drying or wet dry, salting or pickling the acids and salts before being shipped to tannery. It's mean before transportation to tannery, before the product is actually transferred to modern utilized for modern commercial activity. It is treated with some basic it has kind of basic process that will prevent its degradation. So in the next time diagram you can see here is the basic process that is involving in the treatment of different types of animal skin. So this is actually the state where these the different types of animal skins are actually transported to uh, utilized for different types of commercial activities. And if we generally discuss the what is actually utilization of the leather. Leather is actually used to make the variety of articles that including footwears, automobile seats, clothing, bags, uh, book bindings, fashion accessories, and furniture. It is a product that is produced in a variety of ways, variety of types and styles, and they are actually decorated by wide ranges of techniques. It means you can see in these diagrams you have an idea that leather is actually the kind of product that is that have that is actually a kind of product that has much more significance in present days, that is utilized for several purposes. So we can say that leather is important ingredient of human society or human population. So we can if we want to study the manufacturing process of different types of leather, that is divided into three fundamental sub processes. The number one process, that is a kind of preparatory stage, and the next thing is tanning and then crusting. A further sub process, that is actually the finishing, can be added into the leather process by sequence, but not all leathers receive finishing. It's mean leather the process of leather formation can be divided into three fundamental or basic steps, that is preparation, then tanning and crusting. And some products are actually utilized, leather products are utilized before finishing, but some leather products receive finishing. So in this in the next slide you can see here is here in this diagram you can see how the source of the different types of leather that can be mostly raw hide, that is from cattle sources. So the raw hide, that is skin, is removed from the animal, and they may receive temporary preservation. This temporary preservation is a kind of method in which we will have we will involve different types of salting techniques that will enable the that will be considered as suitable for the preservation, so it can prevent its decomposition or some other condition. So the next step that is involved in this process, that is cleaning of hide, the removal of unwanted components, dung, hair, natural fats, etc. They are actually the raw hide, that is actually that is skin of animal, that is actually that is treated with different types of chemicals, and unwanted material components are removed from that skin. So the next step that is of much more concern, that is significant, that is tanning. Tanning is the process in which the preservation of in which preservation is actually involved, and we will actually treat different types of tanning agents, and among them different types of chromium salts are actually utilized for this purpose. And the next step that is involved in this leather industry, leather formation, that is coloration and product design. The hide is actually treated with different types of dyes, the softening agents and the filling agents to provide the leather with the desired final article properties, like different types of footwears, leather goods, handbags, and leather jackets, and different types of products are actually formed from these um, final product. So the finishing, most of the leathers have a final application as a coating, as a liquid wax, which actually offers the enhance the aesthetic and the performance properties of the different types of leather. This means we can say different types of products are actually coated with different types of some shiny material, so that um, it can have a kind of significance, kind of value in terms of aesthetic, so it become usable in terms of aesthetic value. So this is actually the basic process that is actually involving different types of leather formation. The main source, the basic source of the leather formation, that is mostly of different types of cattles. So from cattle, the skin is actually obtained, and from the animal skin, the different products are removed, and from removal, by removing different types of um, uh, impurities from the skin, that is tanned, and after tanning, desired colors are actually a final product is actually reshaped, and that product is further treated for that is a kind of finishing process, and the leather is ready to use for human beings. If we generally discuss the flow chart for the leather processing, how these are actually treated in different types of how this leather is actually formed in industry. So we can see initially we have hides and skins of different types of animals that undergo different types of curing and soaking process, and then in the industry it will undergo different types of liming, and then deliming, then it will undergo involve bathing, and then pickling. So pickling can be further subdivided into two categories, that is deep pickling and mineral tanning. Deep pickling is done with the vegetable tanning. It means different types of tanning agents that are having plant sources, they are utilized. And the next step, that is mineral tanning, that will that are actually the kind of process that will involve the neutralization. So by neutralization or vegetable tanning, the product is actually splitting, involves splitting, and then the product is retained in its final shape, and then the uh, dyeing is actually done for different types of leather products, and then the leather will become ready to use for different types of purposes. If we want to see the detailed process, how these processes actually carried out under different types of industry, we can have different types of treatments. So the salted hides or skins, that are actually the initial products that are provided to different types of industries. So the salted hides or skins, they are provided to commercial industries. So these products will undergo different types of treatment, that is salt, protein, and different types of lime and sodium sulfide or sodium, sometimes sodium chloride is also utilized for this purpose. So these are actually the kind of different types of chemical treatments that undergo that will involve the treatment of different types of leather. So the water, lime, and sodium sulfide, that is utilized as an initial treatment, and different types of enzymes are also applied, that can be of various categories. These enzymes are actually utilized for the degradation or digestion of different products that are actually present in the skin of the animal skin. And then the salted hides or skins, that has actually that has been received their initial chemical treatment, they will undergo further process. That process is called as actually the tanning process. The tanning process is a kind of process that can have as we have discussed in previous slide, that can be of two types, that is splitting, shaving by vegetable bark. It's mean a different that can be of the treatment can be having animal origin, or different types of chromium tannings are used. Then the leather that will be obtained by this process, that is called as tanned leather. And from the tanned leather we will have post tanning process, that will involve different types of dyes, different types of greases, and syntain chrome. It's mean from the tanning process we will have a kind of product that is called as post tained leather, and that post tainted leather will undergo different types of treatment that can be that can have different kind of properties. So according to the quality of the leather product, it is treated with different types of agents, and that is trimmed trimmed waste, buffering dust, solvents, buffering different types of agents are chemicals are utilized for this purpose, so that the leather will become stable for some time. So for the utilization, so we can say this is actually the process that will result in the formation of high quality or different types of furnished leather, and that leather is utilized for different types of purposes or different types of human activities. If we generally discuss the leather, the top grain leather is actually the type of leather that include the outer layer of the hide, that is known as grain, which features the finer, more densely packed fibers. That is responsible for the resulting in the strength and durability. And depending on the thickness, it may also contain some of the more fibrous under layer. So this is known as corium. As I have discussed earlier, this is actually the main layer that is actually responsible for the formation of the leather, that is the dermis, the epidermis, and the fatty layer that are much concerned, that are less significant in terms of leather formation. And the next, the full grain leather. The full grain leather is a kind of leather that will contain the entire grain layer without any removal of the surface. These are actually the different types of leathers. So we can say that is actually kind of leather that will contain uh, a product that in its full form. So rather than wearing out it develops a patina during the useful lifetime. It is usually considered as highest quality leather. Furniture and footwears are often made from full grain leather. So there are different types of leather that are utilized for different types of purposes. So the next type of the leather, that is the corrected grain leather. Corrected grain leather is a kind of leather that has the surface that is subjected to finishing treatments to create more uniform appearance. This usually involves the buffing and sanding away flaws in the grain, then dyeing and embossing the surface. And different types of enzymes that are utilized for this purpose, that are different types of proteases, lipases, and amylases. They are important. They are playing important role in the soaking, dehiring, degreasing, and bathing operation of the leather manufacture, as I have discussed in previous slide, that different types of enzymes are actually involved in the preparation of in the treatment of leather at the different stages. Mean each and every step will involve a kind of different types of enzymes, and these enzymes are basically utilized for the main ingredient, that is the different types of proteins. And the collagen protein is the main constituent of the that is the main ingredient that is utilized in production of leather. So the proteases are most commonly used enzymes in leather production. I mean, we can say the proteases are the enzymes that can actually digest, that can degrade proteins. They are main enzyme that are used for the leather production. Next, what is different types of preservation and conditioning methods? So the natural fibers of the leather break down with the passage of time. It's mean the leather is a kind of product that is having animal origin. So that is basically the skin of animal. So when it is involving a kind of treatment with different types of chemicals and different types of products, so it is not much long lasting product. So the natural fiber of the leather break down when time passes. So the acidic leathers are particularly vulnerable to red rot, which causes powdering of the surface and change in the consistency. So the individual observing the religions which place restriction on material choices, leather vendors typically clarify the kinds of leather in their product. It means leather is a kind of product that is having different types of animal origin. So some people actually, due to their religious activity, they discourage the use of different types of animal products. So the individual that are actually observing different types of religious obligations, they restrict the utilization of different types of material. Let's suppose if the leather is actually made up of animal, let's suppose that is cow, but for Hindus this is actually a sacred animal. so they will not use the leather that is actually made from the hide or skin of cow. And for Muslims, the skin of pig, that is not suitable. So these are actually the some religious standards that are of much concern in terms of leather products. For example, the leather that is leather shoes bear a label that identifies the animal from which the leather actually came. This helps the Muslims not accidentally purchase pig skin and Hindi not to avoid the cattle skin. It means there are actually some concern in utilization of different types of leather that are utilized for different types of purposes. So we can say